Are Alice in Chains slop or not? We're going to figure it out. First, what is slop? We have to go over that. Second, I'm going to show you how to detect slop. And third, we're going to go over how much of Alice in Chains is slop. Fourth, we're going to go over are they talented regardless. And finally, I'm going to let you know if you and other people are going to consider them slop or not. So let's go over it. What is slop to begin? First, we have energy up here. This is the music matrix, 0 to 11 on energy. And we have catchiness 0 to 10. Anything less than a 7 in catchiness is called slop by someone who's not a fan of that energy level. And in general, it just gets called slop because it's not that catchy. No one likes it. Now, if it is catchy but low energy, it gets called pop. And if it is catchy but high energy, it gets called rock. So, how do we detect when something is less than a 7 in catchiness? That might be tricky, you might be thinking, because energy, that's the easy part, right? Stuff from 0 to 3 makes you want to take a nap. Stuff from 3 to 7 makes you want to dance. And stuff from 7 to 11 makes you want to fight someone, mosh pit. So how do we figure out 7 or higher on catchiness, 7 higher or lower? Well, we have something called when it works, the catchiness index. Yay! A lot of things go into catchiness. Catchiness is really complicated, but we can actually get a good gist of how catchy or not something is based off of its predictability, its average predictability amongst the different elements, whether it's the songwriting, the lyrics, everything, yada, yada, yada. The guitar parts, the vocals, yada, yada, yada. So, we can see something all the way on the left that's completely predictable, completely corny, would be like Joe Bonamassa. It's guaranteed to be slop. Something completely incoherent, like most of the Mars Volta, is also likely to be slop. Now, if something's between Back in Black being balanced and Bohemian Rhapsody being zany, it's in the money zone, which means it can still be slop. It can still be something that's just for fans of that band or genre. And it can also now have a chance at being something that's for everyone. Even if you're not a fan of that band or genre, never heard about it before, never gotten used to it, listening to it, or finding a way to like it, you still go, dang, that's a really catchy song. I like it. Let's add it to a playlist, right? And then smash it. You have a small chance of that. But so here's the thing. Alice in Chains in particular, they do a really good job at doing things that are quirky with the guitar and elements. Like people talk about time signatures. Time signatures are cool. The only reason time signatures are cool or useful is because it can let you do things that have some spontaneity that are kind of exciting because of the predictability, right? But also they can balance it, right? And so Alice in Chains are a really good example of using things like what key signature are we in? What time signature are we in? Playing around with stuff and and they just keep you on your toes. And so they're actually able to end up in the money zone by doing things that are kind of like here and here. They average out to being in the money zone, and then they actually do get to the hit range. A lot of bands do stuff that's weird and stuff that's awful, awfully boring, and it ends up just being awful. So Alice in Chains doesn't do that. But now, how much of Alice in Chains is good, like I said, and how much is not? This is the interesting question in figuring out if, in fact, Alice in Chains are slop. Because the reason this is interesting is most of the grunge bands are bad. They're not that good. They might have 5 good songs, maybe 10, and then like their whole catalog, they end up looking like this. This is what David Bowie's catalog looks like as well. See, this is where it gets controversial. Are people going to call them slop or not, right? If they look like this, everyone's going to be debating it because most of the music is god-awful that they've released. It's slop, right? And then there's very few hits relative to the total amount of music they made. Look at Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Limp Bizkit, David Bowie. But they still do have hits, and the hits are really good. But they've released so much of their music as unlistenable garbage, which is this part. So it's like, it's the ratio that kind of makes it hard to debate. Now, stuff like this is also hard to debate, an OnlyFans or a hit or quit. These things are pretty ubiquitous, or pretty just even. These are the most extreme. This is really good. This is really bad. OnlyFans, this is stuff where everything's pretty much for fans. There's not much hits and there's not much slop. If you like the genre, you like the band, you're going to like it. If hit or quit, everything they do is either for everyone and really great, or it's for no one, it's unlistenable. Queen, Weezer, that kind of example. 50-50 is like 3 albums of really great classic stuff, 3 albums of really good stuff for fans, 3 albums of stuff for nobody. That's like Nine Inch Nails, Led Zeppelin. So where do I put Alice in Chains? They're going more into they're not quite at the classic catalog level of the Beatles, Metallica, Daft Punk, Rage Against the Machine. I think they just have like really good stuff, and they're not there. I think they're a little bit in between. I think they're slightly above 50-50. right? So you've got Slop here, you've got Stuff for Fans here, and you've got hits here. Most of their catalog is hit quality stuff, and then you've got a little bit of Stuff for Fans, and you got a little bit of garbage. And it's not really like pure garbage. Well, no. But if anything, they're closer to a classic catalog. Most of the grunge bands, though, are actually less than 50-50. So if you think of the big four grunge, you think Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana. Nirvana's mostly garbage. They have a lot of hits, but they also have a lot of stuff that's just like complete garbage. Like it's just like that's kind of the thing with grunge that's kind of weird is it's the first decade where the big bands, it's debatable if they're even good because though they have hits, they mostly suck. Except for Alice in Chains. It kind of gives you a hint. How's the brand? The brand's okay. And what I mean by brand is like if someone walks into a store like Kim Kardashian and sees their shirt on a rack, goes, "Ooh, Alice in Chains. That's a shirt brand? Maybe? I don't know." But Metallica, people do that with. So I think the brand's fine. I'm not really giving them points. If you just care about brand and like merchandise and like Kiss, I need my toys and everything like that, you're going to put them in a yellow. Maybe a yellow. Musicianship, does it inspire you to pick up an instrument and be like, wow, I want to learn that instrument. I want to learn those riffs. That's kind of like virtuoso stuff. Yes, I think that's true with the vocals. I think it's true with the drums. Maybe not drums, the guitars. I'm not sure about the drums. But they definitely get a green there. So musicians are really going to like Alice in Chains. And then likewise, people who like good songs are going to like them. So they get a green is here as well. Right? So these are people who like good songs. These are people looking for virtuosity and musicianship. These are people looking for a lunchbox with a cool logo. So I think they get green in this and they get a yellow here, which means overall, people in general are going to say, wow, they're amazing. Wow, they're amazing. Oh, they're kind of cool, right? So in general, people aren't going to disagree along this. And so you see they've got a catalog that's very little garbage, and it's a lot of hits. They're also talented in all three of the main kind of quadrants that people care about. So it's just kind of like you'd expect them to end up here, but the only way we actually know is we actually have to say, well, where is the energy? Where is the catchiness? Let's actually look at it. So most people don't think of what's the best song or what's the average of the catalog. They think the 10 songs I remember in general, where are they? So here's my 10 songs. It's going to give us a good starting place to look at. And they go a little like this. Ah, wow, wow, wow. Ah, I'm a man in a box. Yeah, 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 yeah. Down is over. Yeah, yeah, Jesus Christ. And then, here comes the rooster. Yeah. And he go down. Yeah. And wood. Ah. Nuts and bones. Dun 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 dun. Ah, yeah, there are bones. Alone, down, 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 and then Wood is good. I'm not remembering it right now. No Excuses was good. Heaven Beside You. Heaven beside you. Do do do. Down, 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 down. Oh my god! But I originally thought that was Nirvana before I looked at it. I was like, oh, all the good songs that you think are Nirvana, that like you're like, oh, I didn't know that Nirvana hit. They're all just Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains did all the good grunge music, like literally. We Die Young ain't. It ain't like that. Damn That River and Again. And so on average, I gave them a 6. They got a 6.5 in terms of energy because that's the thing with the grunge bands. Most of them are. So I put grunge on the chart here. I said grunge is here, but it's like between 4 and 7. It's low energy punk and kind of slightly edgier indie in terms of energy level usually. But the problem is most of the grunge does not turn into rock and or pop. Like if you think Stone Temple Pilots is a great example of when it does go over. Oh, half the man I used to be, all the way up. That song is like this energy level, high indie energy level, right? But it's so catchy, it becomes like a pop, kind of like rock type of song, right? And so, but most of the grunge things that are in this range, maybe it's 4 to 6 range is really where grunge tends to be. Most of them don't pop out of there, but Alice in Chains, you can see kind of like 6.5. You can see a lot of, there's a couple 8s and 7s in here, but most of it's like 6.5 range for these songs. But it's 9.2 on catchiness. So That means we go 6.5. Alice in Chains are in fact not Slop, and you're probably not going to call them Slop. I don't call them Slop. Most people aren't going to think of them as Slop, and especially because of the catalog, no one's going to disagree about it. It's a low on controversy. The average, so we have a couple different metrics we go off of. It's the talents, we go off the catalog, and we go off of the top 10 average, and all of those kind of agree. It's here. No one's going to disagree about it, really. They're going to think they're a good rock band, yada, yada, yada. Hence why, with memes and TikToks and everything, Alice in Chains are having a big comeback because everyone's realizing, wow, this band was really good, and they're starting to overtake in popularity by a lot, like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, maybe millennials and boomers like Pearl Jam, but people are like obsessed kind of with Alice in Chains, and rightly so. Yeah, you know, I wasn't expecting this, but as I went through their catalog, I was like, oh, I love these songs. I hear them at the gym when I'm working out all the time, and I'm like, oh, that's them? I'm like, oh, they're the best grunge band by a lot. By a lot. I went through like Soundgarden. Does not end up like this. They do not have this. So, yeah, if you like the video, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think below. But please like the video. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm just a poor boy. No need no sympathy. Got in a landslide. No escape from reality. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.